Hi, I'm Dave Vansickle, YieldPro Specialist. Today I'm here joined with Glenn Longabaugh from Winfield Regional Agronomist. Glenn, one of the key buzz things that's been happening here lately in the industry, we're hearing the term high yielding crops, high yield soybeans, high yield corn. And I know locally within my area, we've been working on some high yield soybeans for the past few years, and with great success, anywhere from 5 to 9 bushel advantages. Tell me a little bit about, for somebody that's maybe unfamiliar with that, how do we get to high yield soybeans?
Sure. Well, Dave, as you know, high yield soybean system, it has a lot of moving parts, right? And often it takes us 2.5, 3 hours to go through the entire system. But it's really very simple, right? And soybeans don't respond like corn, right? If you take 3 inputs in corn that together independently are like 2, 3, and 5 bushel, you put them together and corn doesn't make 10 bushel, right? It makes 15 or 20 bushel. Soybeans are not that way. We often have to make the entire system, right? We have to affect the entire system before we see a decent return. But if we want to talk about the key components, it's this, right? It's around early planting, it's around variety selection, it's around seeding rates and pulling those back because we're going to jack them up. We can't let them get too vegetative. It's about soil fertility, it's about in-season nutrition, and then other in-season amendments, whether that's fungicides, insecticides, and so on. So that's really the key components to a high yield system.
So for somebody, Glenn, that maybe is not familiar with some of these extra nutritional amendments that we make throughout the season, where in your opinion would be a good place for them to start?
You're asking for the low-hanging fruit. Obviously we, in a systems approach, we really like to do it more prescriptively. But if we're just going to take a recipe approach, then in my mind it's always manganese, it's potassium, it's sulfur. Those are the key components we have to focus on. And so one of the things we've been using is a lot of Maxin manganese, which has corn sorb technology to get more manganese actually into the plant. One of the products that we've been using a lot of in the last few years is High K, right? Which is really a water-soluble dry fertilizer. But those are some of the things that we've done, right? We've used sulfur, whether that's through AMS, whether that's through this High K product, whether that's through ammonium sulfate, Maxin sulfur, lots of different ways to actually supplement mineral nutrition. But mineral nutrition is a key component to jacking soybeans up.
Okay, so and I would agree with you, as we've actually experimented with it in my geography. It's kind of like you say, 2 and 2 doesn't necessarily always equal 4. 2 and 2 could equal 6 or 8 or 9. So I think that one of the things I took away from this, Glenn, within we've seen a lot of interest and a lot of results driven data as we've seen growers push for higher yields within our Harvest Elite and our Harvest Strong programs.
Sure.
And as we've taken it to the farm, it appears to me that this is a program that not only those guys that are looking for competitive situations to win contests need to look at, but it's something that makes sense for all growers.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. As you know, I farm a little bit myself, and I had several farms this year that I treated extremely special, and yet the places that I got the highest returns were this year the most common ground, right? So
great,
totally counterintuitive. And
yeah.
So oftentimes I think we want to exclude, right? Is it true that you're more likely to get into a high yield scenario on your best ground? Absolutely. And so that's where we want to start. But there are things that you're going to learn by pushing yields through YieldPro that you can find that will be applicable to the entire farm.
Great. Well, Glenn, thanks for taking the time to visit with me today. And if anybody has any questions on how we can, hit this systems approach that Glenn's talking about in terms of high yield soybeans, make sure to reach out to your local YieldPro specialist. And thanks for joining us today.